Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala Sayyidil Mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Zakat on plots. This is our subject. So there are 5 basic things to be considered if you own plots. Number 1, if you bought a plot to build and construct your own house with this intention, you don't have to pay any zakah because this plot is intended for your personal use to construct a house. So there is no zakat on that particular plot. Number 2, but if you have a real estate business, for example, you have $1 million or $2 million or $5 million with you, and you have an office, you buy and sell on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. You purchase things and you sell. Then that initial investment last year on 1st of Muharram or 1st of Ramadan or 10th of Ramadan or 25th of Ramadan, whatever date it may be, when you calculate your zakat, so you have to see your initial investment. For example, you invested $5 million on 25th of Ramadan. $5 million. Now today, after one complete year, today again, it is the month of Ramadan. You completed one lunar year. You have to calculate the value of your assets. Now, you started with 5 million. You may have, after 1 year, only property worth only 4 million, or you may have a property worth 10 million. So the minimum amount that was with you for the entire 12 months, 355 days, you have to pay zakah at the rate of 2.5. The constant amount, the minimum constant amount throughout the year, on that amount you have to pay zakat 2.5%. If your capital decreased from 5 to 4 million, then you have to pay zakat on 4 million. But if your assets increased from 5 million to 10, then you have to pay zakat on 5 million. And for next year after 355 days, this 10 million assets of today will be your basis of calculation. And after one complete year, you will see that your assets are going down or going up. And then next year you will calculate the minimum amount that was with you for all 355 days, and you have to pay zakat on that particular amount. So if the plots are bought for buying and selling, and every day you do this business, those plots become commercial commodity, as it is said, urudu tijara, and you have to pay zakat on them. Now, the third thing, if you bought a plot for a long-term investment, for example, you said, well, I bought it, I have a house, but I am buying a plot for a long-term investment. Maybe this will help later on when my children go to college. Maybe when time demands that I need money for my medical expenditure, I may sell it. So you bought it for a long-term investment. Then, according to Imam Malik, and as I said earlier, Imam Hassan Basri and Umar bin Abdul Aziz and other people, you have to pay zakah for only 1 year on the amount of sale. For example, you bought a plot for 10 million, and after 10 years, you sold it for 100 million. Then you have to pay zakat only for 1 year on 100 million. Now, if you rented this plot, for example, somebody is using it as a garage, or somebody is using this land as parking lot, then you have to pay zakat on the rental income. The fifth thing you have to note that the intention is very important. For example, you bought a plot for construction of a house to live, and that was your intention, but you change your intention after 5 years. You change your intention for 5 years. So, and because your financial situation is not good, you want to sell. And the moment you change the intention, from that day, you have to pay zakat. And you sold after 1 year, so you have to pay zakat for 1 year. You changed the intention 2 years ago and you sold now, you have to pay zakat for 2 years. Now, if you bought a plot for investment, then you change your intention and you want to build a house. So, for the initial year, since you bought it for investment, you have to pay zakat. But the moment you changed your intention, that now it shall be used for building a house to live, then you do not have to pay zakah. So what we have said about plots, number one, if you bought it to construct a house for yourself, you don't have to pay any zakah. Number two, if real estate is your business, then after 355 days, you have to pay zakat on your liquid and immovable assets after 355 days at the rate of 2.5%. If it is more than the nisab, which is 87.48 grams of gold. Number three, if you bought a plot for a long-term investment and you sold it after 15 years or 20 years, then on the amount of sold value, you have to pay zakat for only 1 year, because there was no circulation of wealth. Please note it down that the capital was jammed and there was no circulation of wealth. So you have to pay zakat not on the purchase value, but on the sale value only for 1 year. But if you are circulating your assets and capital, and you are buying and selling, then you have to pay zakat on an annual basis. And then we said that if you are renting your plot for parking or a garage or whatever it may be, then you have to pay zakat on the rent. And lastly, we said, if you changed your intention, you bought it for business, but later on you thought, well, I should have house on this plot. So the day you change the intention, you don't have to pay zakat. But since it was a business investment, you have to pay for the previous years. And if you bought it for constructing a house, you don't have to pay zakat. But the moment you change the intention that now I'm selling it, I'm no more building a house, then from that time you have to pay zakat. Allahu a'lamu bis-sawab. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.